So last week I said that I would be moving somewhere, but I'm not moving yet. I got another week here, so you get one more week of this wall, and then next week you get a new wall. And hopefully, maybe by then I'll actually have something set up to look nice, and so that there's more stuff on the shelf again, and rotating stuff on the shelf. But anyway, we're talking about episode 16 of the series. This is resolving the earthquake stuff from last week, and presumably also the fighter girl that Mei Ling saw, or that we saw that Mei Ling is going to fight, rather. Assuming that these are related to each other. There was a commenter down there who said last week, like, maybe this card is called the Rumble. I thought that was a really cool name. I would love it for that to be the card, but let's go ahead and find out. So great news! This episode was really good. I'm not even going to do my lightning round of iffy animation because everything that went wrong was just the normal rushed animation that's normal. I don't even want to talk about that for once. Like, this episode was actually really good. So what happens? They start off dealing with the earthquake, and it turns out that that earthquake is a card called Swing. No one working on the show knows English, clearly, which makes sense, but that's not Swing. Earthquakes are not Swing. Also, Swing is just the Serpent Knight Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't have a problem with that, because that is like the coolest card design we have had so far. So, immediate winner of the Clear Cards favorite design. Move over Aqua. Swing is now my new favorite. What else? Okay, so they finish up with the earthquake, and Sakura shows off some really impressive power by expanding siege over an entire landscape. So I've said before that Sakura's power is more about potential rather than actual skill or training. Definitely that, because I'm sure that took a lot of energy to do. And she actually looks pretty okay after doing it. It's not like in the Sakura arc where any exertion of magic like immediately drained her. Now she's like, whatever, expand siege over a like 50 square meter area or something, however big it was. There's a lot of good landscapes in this episode, for the record. Like, not just Tomoeda's home, but just like the entire landscape. Yeah, Tomoeda, there were so many of those shots. So the animation budget was going a lot into landscapes, it seems. So moving on, they leave, they go home, and Akiho meets Kaito, and coincidentally, right when the chapter that reveals that Kaito is definitely a bad guy drops in the manga, now we have the anime showing him doing something he's never done in the anime, or never done in the manga. Sorry, I had to cut there. Some dragster was going on outside, I don't know. So anyway, what was I saying? So Akiho goes home and meets Kaito, and coincidentally, right as the chapter that reveals that Kaito is totally a bad guy in the manga, in the anime we see him reveal his magic. He's a time magician. And it was a great moment because they're walking down the street and they're just talking, and Akiho's like, oh yeah, Sakura told me she can, or she can show me the family library, and Kaito's like, oh yeah, her father is an archaeologist, he probably has a lot of books. And her response was, oh, I've told you about her father, have I? And just immediately he stops. And I was like, uh-oh, I screwed up. And just pulls out that watch, and Prince of Persia's them back like 5 or 10 seconds, whatever it is. It was understandable, it was expected that Kaito was probably a mage having to do with time. And I talked about this in the chapter review. They say that Kaito stole a magical artifact. It could be that watch too. I didn't bring it up in the chapter, even though I was considering it at the time. I said it was either, well, that's manga territory. I'll keep that to the manga videos. So yeah, Kaito is a time magician and uses that to manipulate Akiho. Though she notices when she loses time, but she doesn't notice, like, there's only so much that she can notice. She does pick up, but she kind of notices that she was affected by magic. Meanwhile, on the other way home, Sakura and Mei Ling encounter the other card, the Struggle. Also, again, English statement. That's not really a struggle. That's more like a punchy card. It's another fight card. And it was a really cool fight card. Unlike the original fight, which is like really nimble and quick, this one is very mechanical, very heavy. Like it just pummels. I think Rumble would have actually been a better name for it because of the amount of damage it does. And Sakura and Mei Ling have to work together. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe Sakura is a tactile learner, learning things, whatever. She was able to follow instructions and synchronize with Mei Ling quite well, which leads to more of their friendship development. There's a great scene at the end of the episode where they kind of reconcile and yeah, their relationship grows, their friendship grows. So, Mei Ling now calls Sakura Sakura, which, to be honest, I'd never really paid attention to. Like, I guess it hadn't really occurred to me that she was probably the last of the characters in the show still calling her Kinomoto. Yeah, it had never occurred to me, but now it's a thing. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Struggle's design is cool. I like it. I like all the jewels on her, but she's got like that crippling weakness of just if you break the jewels, then she gets broken. It's like the Z putties from Power Rangers, and this is just a review of references at this point. Again, the animation in this episode was actually good. Like, they put a lot of effort into that fight. Like, that fight is very fluid, it's got a lot of action to it, it's very creative. Yeah, just a lot of energy in it. The landscapes looked great. The typical stuff with faces was lazy, but I'm not gonna talk at length about it for once. The comedy in this episode was also good. Kiro and Tomoyo, again, this is forming a very unhealthy relationship, I think, especially from Tomoyo's side. Tomoyo is not only becoming obsessive, she's starting to be kind of intimidating to Kiro, to the point where he is fearing for his life. Like, he sleeps through the struggle fight, and then you see him depressed. And you think, oh my god, like, it's dawning on Kiro, like, he's sleeping so much. We talked about a few episodes back where, like, Sakura was saying that Kiro's sleeping a lot. It seems weird. And you think they're setting that up for, like, what if Kiro's powers are going away or something? And when you see Kiro, he's like, oh my god, I slept through it. And you're expecting him to be like, I slept through it. What's wrong with me? Where are my powers going? Why don't I have energy like I used to have? Instead, he's there worrying about what Tomoyo is going to do to him for not filming. And then it cuts over to him with the cell phone. It's like, how do I apologize to this? Do I say it up front? Do I just try to hide this? Do I try to just pretend it never happened? Just lie, Kiro, just lie. Just pretend it never happened. Don't bring it up. If she ever asks where did that card come from, just say, I don't know. It's like it just magically appeared. It's magic. Yeah, so I felt really good about this episode. Next episode, it looks like we're finally going to start getting back on the manga timeline, because next episode is the roll cakes and this horrifying thing that shows up in the preview. Oh my god. Yeah. In the manga, it's a very short sequence, and it's just a bunch of roll cakes flying around, but it appears that in typical anime fashion, that fight is going to get extended, and we're gonna get some nightmare fuel out of it. So that's all I have to say about this episode, and next episode I will be in a new location and preparing my mortal soul for that horrifying beast. So until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.